Hi guys, welcome to my video on doing a personal statement for medical school. So let's dive right in. So you want your opening paragraph to only be 2 or 3 lines long, you want it to be succinct, you want it to be interesting, you want it to be honest, and you really want to pull in your audience. There's a lot to ask from 2 or 3 sentences, I know, but it is what leads them to reading the rest of your personal statement. It's what's going to stick in their minds, so it's worth putting all the extra effort into it. Now you'll see when you're reading around, all these medical websites will say you want it to be really unique, because they don't want to say, oh, I've been interested since whenever, or what drew me to this. But the truth is, most of us will fall into 3 camps. Either been interested since we were a very young age, we've wanted to do it since we were 5, we've come to it at a later stage after doing a lot of research and reading around and put a lot of thought into whether we want this as a career or not. Or something happened when you were younger to yourself or a family member that made you look at medicine as a career. Doesn't matter that we've all got similar reasons, it's the way that you write that opening paragraph that makes a difference. So in my case, I became interested in doing medicine after having a spinal fusion operation when I was around 12-13 years old. So I opened up mine saying it was the most terrifying day of my life. I didn't know what was going to happen to me when I went in for this operation on my spine. However, it was also the day that I realised that medicine would be the right career for me. And that was kind of it. That's all I really said. You'll have your own reasons. It's just about writing it in a unique way, even if it's similar to 1,000 other people's reason for wanting to go to medical school. Your next paragraph, you want to expand on that. So in my case, I then said, the anaesthetist refused to let the operation go through. It was cancelled because I didn't have an ICU bed. And here was someone standing up for me. And, they were representing me, they were being a patient advocate. And it's something I wanted to do for someone else. I want to be able to do that for someone. Expand it in whatever way is necessary for you. If you're saying that you've been reading around, kind of say how you got that journey started. If you've wanted to do it since you were 5, then just kind of explain, I've wanted to do it since I was young. As I've gotten older, I've done science subjects. I found that I really do have a true love for science. I love learning. I want to do something where I have lifelong learning. You then want to show you're aware of what traits are necessary in a doctor, by basically going, I want to combine my love of science with my enjoyment of communicating with people. And this is just an example. You'll have your own. Maybe you love problem solving. Talk about it, because these are things that doctors need to be good at. Maybe you enjoy teaching others. Whatever your example is, you kind of just go into it and just show that you're aware of what characteristics are necessary to be a doctor, while also saying, it's because I have these characteristics that I'm interested. You then want to go into your main paragraph, which is going to be your work experience / your voluntary experience. So your work experience, whether it's in a hospital, a hospice, charity work, maybe you're in St John's Ambulance, maybe you're working with the Red Cross, whatever it is, this is where you want to be talking about it. But you don't want to say what you did, you want to say what you learned, what you've reflected on from the experience and what it tells you about a career in medicine, both positive and negative. So I would say if you volunteered in a hospital or a hospice, don't say which ones they were. Or if you were following around a doctor, don't say what the doctor's name was or what hospital to say. Hospital X, Hospice X. I shadowed an anaesthetist at a local hospital, just something like that. You don't want to be naming them. And you want to be saying, what you learn is necessary. So in my case, I volunteered on a trauma ward. We had a lot of patients with dementia. And so I said, I learned the importance of communication, because it was very difficult talking to these patients sometimes and getting them to understand what I was asking of them, as opposed to maybe their family members, where I'd have to speak in a different way. And I saw how the nurses did that and the doctors did it, and I understand the importance of the communication skills. I also saw how nurses, doctors, physios, social workers, people from the care home all work together to help these patients. And so I understood the importance of teamwork, something that I've been working on myself through my outside interests. So you want to be showing that. You want to also show that you're aware of the negatives, whether it's the stress, it's the workload, whichever one you choose, but try to put a positive spin on it. So it might be a case of you going, the doctor had a huge workload, always seemed under a lot of pressure with it. I'm aware of this. However, I have been working on my organisational skills, and hopefully through time I'll be able to manage my own workload once I'm in that situation. For your volunteer work, you want to be talking about what skills you developed in it. So maybe you are a prefect at school, so you learnt leadership skills. Maybe you've done some teaching. Actually, if you've done teaching and you're going on a PBL course, I definitely suggest mentioning it, because on a PBL course you'll be given a topic at the beginning of the week and you'll be teaching it to the rest of your class at the end of the week. So saying that you've done some teaching, whether you're tutoring, whether you've organised revision classes, this is really helpful. Just make sure you don't lie, because you will be asked about it in your interview if they have your personal statement in front of them. It's also useful, even if you're not going for a PBL course, because once you are a doctor, you'll be teaching junior doctors, or you might be looking after some medical students and showing them how to do things. So showing an interest in teaching would put you a step above everyone else. It will give you an edge on the other applicants who haven't had any background in it or have no interest in it. You don't want to be repeating the same characteristics that you show each and every time. So you don't want to keep on going leadership. You want to go leadership, empathy, resilience. Resilience is actually really important. You'll be pulled up on that in all your interviews. All 4 of mine, I got asked questions revolving around resilience. So if you have anything that you can show for that, definitely write it down. Through the whole of this, you should hopefully have been showing different characteristics. Either you've shown them yourself or you've seen them and understand the importance of them. So maybe you don't have an example for empathy yourself, but you've seen the importance of empathy when you've been watching doctor-patient interactions, or maybe having a job where your empathy is important is something you mentioned earlier when you were saying you want a career where your empathy, you can use your feelings to help people. I'm not too sure exactly how you'd go about that one, to be honest. But I'm sure if that is a driving force for you, you'll have reasons and you can write that. Your next part will be on extracurricular. Write whatever your interests are, it doesn't matter. If you have room, you can demonstrate extra traits, extra characteristics that you have, that will be helpful in being a doctor, that's brilliant. If you're running out of room, list them. I know a lot of them say don't list them, but do, really. In my case, I said that I do Lindy Hop, which is a 1930s and 40s style dancing. That it helped with my hand-eye coordination, which for me is important because I'm dyspraxic, and my main issues were always hand-eye coordination. So it was just to kind of give a hint that I have worked on this and it is something I can now do. You don't have to do this at all. Even if you are dyspraxic, don't worry, it's not as big a deal as I thought it was going to be, but nevertheless it was what I brought up. I did some teaching with those who are new to Lindy, who are really struggling the first lesson or two, because it's really difficult and you get very panicky in these group situations. I was that person. I was awful at Lindy. I'm still not very good at Lindy Hop, but I'd take them aside and we'd just do it really slowly and get them comfortable. And it also gave me the opportunity to interact with people from different backgrounds, because you have people who are 80 and people who are 18. You have people who, bricklayers to doctors. We had everyone. It was really interesting talking to them. And whatever your interest is, so you might have shown leadership by being captain of the football team. You might have shown kind of resilience through doing martial arts for years, where you struggled at first, and as you've gone through, you're now winning medals, and it's just the hard work and dedication that you've put into this, no matter what the stumbling block was. Whatever your example is, it will always be fine, no matter, even if it is a very unusual interest. And finally, you just want your conclusion, it just needs to be a line or two. They do say they want it to be, this should also be interesting, just like your first few sentences. I'm not so sure if it's as necessary. If you've been interested all the way through, I would say just summarise. It's what I did, where I just kind of went, I believe that I have the empathy, the teamwork skills and the motivation to be a good doctor. That's all I really said. And I would honestly suggest just summarising what your main traits are. However, if you want to go off other advice where they say make it interesting, do so. I'd say some other tips I have outside of this is don't use quotes. Some people do. You're just wasting space. You've got 47 lines, I think. Don't waste it on other people's words. Just use your own words. If you've read around anything and have a particular interest, definitely mention that in your second paragraph, that kind of second, third paragraph area. In my case, I had an interest in tuberculosis, particularly Pott's disease, which is TB of the spine. So I was trying out, it led to a certain interest in the pharmacology side for me, because there's a lot of side effects with TB medication. So if you've done any reading around, or if you've been reading around to find out more about the experience of being a doctor or the experience of being a patient, definitely mention it. If you've read From Air to Breathe, and I think it's called, I'll leave a link below, there was a doctor who ended up with lung cancer. If you found that was a great insight to being a patient and the importance of empathy, definitely talk about it. I'm including some links below for resources. There's a very good book called Get Into Medical School, Write the Perfect Personal Statement. I used it, I thought it was great. It's £15 if you're at school and there's a couple of you who are applying. You might want to just put the money together and buy it. You can get it second hand for around £6. You might just want to, if you have it in your school library, borrow it. It's just definitely worthwhile, I thought. I'm also including a link to the student room page, which is all personal statements for medical school. It includes ones for graduates and undergraduates. There are varying degrees of quality. They are as well in the Get Into Medical School one as well. However, they explain what's good and what's bad about them. So it's up to you. You can use both, or you could just use one or the other. I've also included a link to the Whole York Medical School website. They have the best explanation, I think, of how to lay out your personal statement and what they're really looking for. And also the link for Oxford University, because I think, from personal experience, some people get quite nervous about their opening paragraph not really being good enough. They're like, well, I've come to it late, and all these people got these really cool, interesting stories, and on their website the example they give is someone going, I put a lot of thought into this, and this is the decision I came to. So I think if that's where you're coming from, it might give you a little bit of comfort. I'm also including a list of the main traits, characteristics to look for in a doctor. You're not going to have them all in your personal statement. There isn't enough room, and it's fine. When you go to interview, they'll be asking you about the main ones that they're worried about. I would say look at the particular medical schools you're looking at, applying to. Look at what characteristics they in particular want and make sure that you try to cover those in your personal statement. But I will have all the main ones listed. I think that's mainly it. I would say after you've written your personal statement, get everyone that you can find to read through it. Get your English teacher, your English lit teacher from GCSE to read through it. Anyone who's a bit of a grammar Nazi, get them to read through it. Your friends, your family, whoever's writing your recommendation, whichever teacher or maybe your manager who's doing it if you're a graduate student, get them to read through it. Make sure it's fine. Get Bob down the road to read it. Just everyone. But once you've sent it off, once you've handed in your personal statement, don't think about it anymore. It's gone, it's done and dusted, it's fine. You've done your best, and now it's time just to wait for your interviews to come through. And also say, don't worry too much while you're waiting for the interviews either. Some people will get their interview offers very early on. Some people aren't going to get them till March. So don't panic if you don't get one at the same time as some of your friends do, or the same time as some people on the internet have, because they do it in batches at most universities. Anyway, that's everything. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos on applying for medical school. I'll be talking about the interview process, as well as how to get work experience. And starting the 25th of September, I will be vlogging from medical school and showing you my experience at the University of Southampton. Bye.